All right. By the way, we just started. Welcome back to Life Unscripted. I'm here with Logan Feeney and Seth Pearson. And today, well, let's get right to it. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Hope everyone had a good time with friends and family. It was a busy weekend for everybody. Lots of traveling, lots of working, lots of cooking, cleaning, and good times. Let's just get right into it, eh? Let's shut off a little Tekka for now. Yeah, so morphing with technology. Is that a good or bad thing?
What? Great intro. I don't know. Explain that. Do you mean like
What
AI,
I mean by that is like AI, medicine. No, medicine's birth control. No, I'm kidding.
I still don't know what you mean. Like,
it's are we gonna be cyborgs?
no, I don't think so.
I don't think that'll happen.
I think we just use we're gonna keep using technology to a point where eventually we'll start to look at it a different way. We'll be like, okay, we have to limit the amount.
I would agree. I just
Eventually.
think there's already like.
But even then, I think that'll be even for the consumer level. I think if you look at like government level or like big private companies, they're gonna use it as much as they can. Like, I mean, I know
That's government. You think
JP
there's,
Morgan, they're already exploring AI within like managing assets.
Well, have you seen like the Royal Air Force like jetpack guys?
No, not really.
Logan, they have
Maybe.
jetpacks, and they like take off from skiffs
What's the point?
and land on like
Yeah.
naval ships. The point is just better attacking and extracting, and they're saying it's good for like rescue, search and rescue. Because instead of taking a helicopter to go up, you can take a couple people with jetpacks. But I don't know how you would carry someone down with the
Yeah.
jetpacks.
Yeah.
You haven't seen that, Logan?
I've seen them. I just don't know how they.
What is
integrate
your
with
opinion on
AI.
jetpacks?
It's my opinion on jetpacks.
Because if anything, it's like a little like cartoony like technology. Like, is it even like gonna be usable? You think?
I don't see a purpose for them.
No. I think you're just asking for more problems, like during that kind of like
Yeah.
mission. Now you have to account for all that kind of shit too.
Well, FAA being restricted, it seems like it already is. Like, how can you have just individual people just like
Well, they're not going up
Right.
that high, probably.
commuting like
Yeah.
via air?
It's a safety issue for everyone.
But what I did invest into a this business called Archer Aviation. It's for eVTOL business.
I've
Electric
never heard of it.
VTOL passenger business. It's going to be like Uber, but for the air, and electric vertical takeoff and landing.
I think I've heard of
Do
it.
you know of?
I'm in.
Do you know their ticker?
No, just look up Archer Aviation. I don't know their.
Okay.
Is that what it's called? The 3-letter thing is a ticker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every company has a ticker.
Mm-hmm. Publicly traded company though. SpaceX doesn't have a ticker.
Well, yeah, no. SpaceX, but like you can then look at who owns like the majority of like SpaceX.
Oh, you can see.
Companies like that. And if you see like, okay, Google owns like 40% of that company, well then just invest in Google. Like kind of. Like you got to be very careful about that kind of stuff. But if you want some kind of exposure.
And that is public knowledge, right? You can see who's majority investors in
for the
private
most
companies.
part. For the most part, yeah. Archer Aviation somehow trades on the New York Stock Exchange. $6.30. It's down today. Hold on, I just want to see the max. The max it's ever gone is 13, 16 maybe. I'm assuming that's when it was. It was.
High.
Well, when
When
it
was that?
first like opened up.
Oh, it's IPO.
Yeah. Well, that was in 2021. So.
What company, Seth, had the like best IPO release? Or what makes an IPO release so special for companies? And how do they like judge what the price is going to be?
So an IPO, initial public offering, and you have like an investment bank or somebody like basically they do all the paperwork, the legal shit. They go on a road tour, essentially, go into all these places, like advertising the company, trying to get investors. And then based on the sentiment and like all the tests, based on the sentiment, based on how much money they're willing to put forward, like all their investors, and how many other banks are willing to like kind of like sponsor it, will determine the share price. Like they're not going to start with a share price that's too high or too low, really. But what's kind of interesting is that whoever's taking it public, they get a fucking cut, but they can't trade it. They can't sell. Like, you know, they could drive the whole price up and then the next day just sell off. But because of rules in place, you can't do that. Like there's a grace period basically, and they have to wait for that. But like IPOs, like a lot of times they'll pop off and then just fucking crash. Not crash, but they'll go down because that's not what it's, you know, it's just a regular thing. You know that, okay, it needs to reach fair market value. But then after the next like year or so, like it'll probably level off and be where it should be. Usually. Best IPO evers though, I don't know. I can't, like I don't really follow that kind of shit. Like that stuff. I followed more so SPACs, which were...
What is that?
SPACs are special purpose acquisition companies, which goes around an IPO. Like rather than doing all of that work, a SPAC is kind of like a company merges into a whole new company rather than just going public as itself. Again, you have to have a lot of investors, but it's kind of, I don't want to say it's safe, but there for a bit, like if it fails, you're guaranteed to get your like, I forget what it's called, but like your $10 like per share back or whatever. Oh. Yeah, like yeah. But that was all in like 2021 era. Like it was huge, like post COVID. But nowadays it's kind of fallen off. Like nobody really, I mean, people obviously will do it, but like the trading volume back then, like it didn't matter what company it was. If it was EVs, if it was like probably biopharma or whatever, like Pfizer. It's like if you hopped on before it got taken public or whatever, you were probably, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it was a very good chance you make money. You just have to get out of it like quick. Like I went with this company called Origin Materials or some shit. And I could have made like $300, $400 off of it. Like I got in at like $11, and then it popped off to like 25 or something. But I got greedy, didn't sell, and I've been holding it ever since. And it's trading around like $1.
Oh wow!
Right now, yeah. So I keep that on my portfolio though, just to like show, like don't
remember.
Yeah. Like because I'm gonna have to fucking look at it every time I open up my portfolio. You know,
see
so I'm gonna see that red and be like, okay. Like, don't be greedy. Take it, like, you know, if I'm doing that kind of type of trade, then, yeah, like, don't be greedy. Just take what you can. If you have to, delete it off your watch list. Like, so you don't see it pop off to 100 million.
You don't want to get the notifications down 89%.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Or up 89%.
Yeah. Yep. But, yeah. But I don't really trade like that anymore anyways. Like I'm not there for the short term. And I'm not saying that's not a
lot of people idea. I see so many people on Instagram doing
that's the
day
thing.
Trading.
Like I can't even look at stuff on Instagram, TikTok. Yeah. Like first of all, you don't even know if it's real. Like all they have to do is just take an image of like a stock doing something and then film them reacting. Like show me your bank account, like show me like that you actually have, like you're in it, like show me that, because like I've thought about like that would be so funny, like if you just wore a mask or something and you just you know how like people love overreactions, like you see your shit drop in, like this is how like just lost 2.3 million and you just flipping shit, you're like throwing a desk across the room, like but you do that, but it's fake, it's all fake actually. You know, like it'd be easy and you'd get I in my opinion, you pop off in views, but
I think you would.
A lot of that stuff you can't. Like they're selling courses or like trading.
You got to subscribe.
It works for
to
some
their
people,
forum.
but mostly it doesn't. Yeah, or go to their Discord. They're like, oh,
it has all the
answers
member to get rich if you subscribe to that forum.
And the number one thing is if it worked that well, and I know what the defense is going to be, but if it worked that well. Realistically, knowing humans, you're not gonna tell anybody. You might tell
you could monetize it.
Like I may tell you and you, but you're not really like, and that's the thing. That's what they're saying. They're like,
monetizing
oh, but I'm a
it.
good person. It worked so much for me. Now I want to give back. Like, what? Like, nah. Like, these people aren't really. Nah, it's just not
I fall
real.
for it though.
Don't fall for it. Just time in the market. Like, realistically, and yeah, I know, like, if somebody watched this, they'd be like, oh, well, that's not how you're gonna get rich, or like, you know, you need risk or whatever. But like, reliably, right now, we don't have a trust fund to go off of, you know, or we don't have like all that money. No, like, you know, we don't have that kind of money to. Oops,
Gamble.
I just lost. Yeah. So like, time in the market, you got to go for the companies that you use, you trust, and then you're good. I mean, like, realistically, and even if that's too much risk for you, you just go into like VU or VTI, and they'll handle it themselves, and they don't, like, their expense ratio is like next to nothing. So
like, my friend Cedric, he's trying to like start investing, and
yeah.
I was wondering, like, what would you tell someone that's looking just to start investing? I just kind of told him, like, start,
Yeah.
like, you can maybe start on Robinhood on whatever app you want to use, and just don't throw all your money in, don't throw, like, every egg into the egg basket, but just, like, throw in some play money, but then, like, you definitely want to fill out your Roth first, and then you want to, like, do your own personal investments. But would you recommend, like, investment bots or whatever? Like,
I don't know. Like, it depends. You got to really, like, the first thing you should do, and, like, this makes sense. Like, they drilled it into us, kind of. Like, you have to come up with a plan. You have to know you know. Like, what's your risk tolerance? Are you willing to, like, what are you willing to lose? What's your financial situation, you know? Like, if you're trying to pay off student loans or any types of debt, stuff like that, like, that's your priority right now. Like, I'm like, yes, it's very important to try to have a Roth IRA, try to, like, get that tax-free, like, later in life, like, income, capital gains, or even just having time in the market. But time in debt will erode a lot of stuff for you. Like, it's gonna hurt you a little bit, and so, like, it really depends on where he is at now. If he
say
has
it's
no
like a
loans,
debt-free,
just got out of college, has a job, and
basic, yeah.
Again,
basic,
like,
besides the debt.
it depends
something
on his
like that.
bills and stuff like that. But say, like, those are all paid for, then I usually, like, there's no one way of doing something. You want to have, like, almost like a stool. You want to have different legs holding you up for retirement in mind. So if your company has a 401k matching plan, max that out. Like, in terms of utilize the matching as much as possible. You don't have to go over, like, if they can only match up to so much that you put in, you don't, and they still have an option to put in.
That's usually the case. It's usually 5% or 7%.
Yeah, it depends per company. Like, UPS is a little different. But, you know, you want to max that out. So there's, like, a 401k. You can't really rely on Social Security anymore. It's just not enough. Like, it's not even enough for the people right now. So it definitely isn't going to be enough for us. So I usually just disregard that. Most companies or government, they don't have a traditional pension plan anymore, like a really good one. But, you know, if you're in the federal government, that is something that you can kind of rely on. Again, you don't want to put, you know, solely on that, but you can definitely have that in your corner anyways. The next one that I, like, personally have is the Roth IRA, which is after tax, which means everything you put into it, like, once it grows, all the gains you get off of it, the dividends that you earn off of it, those, once you take it out after 59 and a half, do not take it out before then. It's tax free, and that's why it's so like wow, holy, like, you know, you're not paying.
All right, so even
that.
if you're a terrible saver, you maybe even have debt or things that's happened in your life that you didn't expect to happen. Say only a couple of years you were able to really contribute to your Roth. Hopefully it's young, so you can get the.
I mean, you're saying like,
percentage.
if you were only able to contribute like 5 times, is that
Yeah,
what you're, like, throughout your whole life.
Yeah, and say you're 59, and then you take it out. That's money that you actually saved, and then it is tax free, and then it accumulated interest, and hopefully grew. Hopefully at a rate of 7 and above, maybe. So, if all else fails, it's still a good option,
you still
even
get
if you're
money
not contributing
tax-free.
the most to it.
It's more of deciding, do you need that money now? Like, not everybody can put in $6,500 a year. Like, they need that money now. And once you put that in, you're kind of locked in until you're 59 and a half. Like, realistically, if you're trying to do it correctly. Like, again, you can kind of take it out, but try not to. But yeah, and then like if you're really like situated well, then yeah, you set up a brokerage and then you can get that money in and out like anytime. But you're gonna pay capital gains depending on like, you know, if you take it out within a year and you still pay taxes if you take it out after a year. And then yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things that you guys can do right now though too, not just investing. Just make sure your money's like doing the best it can, like in like accounts. Like, don't have it in a traditional savings account. Most likely you're not going to be earning the interest that you would if you had it in a money market or high yield savings account. Like that's just a simple switch. You don't pay more for that. Personally, I put my money into a T-bill. I think it was like 17-week T-bill they just released yesterday, and that's going to earn roughly 5.3% interest rather than like 1% that you get in your savings account. Like
it's like 0.05% mostly. That's what I heard.
What, savings account?
Yeah, it's so bad.
I don't even know. I try not to look at it.
Yeah,
like
it's literally nothing.
Yeah, I mean, your inflation's gonna hurt it more than, you know, it's not gonna stay level. But no. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, and you just got to look at the right places, talk to the right people. Like Investopedia, just if you don't know something, look it up there. I don't know. Just try to stay away from people who use a lot of flash to like, hey, like even that company that you're telling me about,
Archer Aviation.
The first thing I thought about was Aerotime from like Wolf of Wall Street, like this new patent pending company, like. Yeah,
it's gonna be big.
Yeah, but the problem is I see like 100,000 others just like it. Like, oh, here's air taxis, and then I think like, okay, would I use an air taxi? Maybe in like 80 years, like even if it like say tomorrow it became a thing, are we like you might use it, but like I'm not gonna trust it right away. You know, I try to look for companies, and I know this is like, trust me, I got my friends that like in finance, they were more of like risk, like they wanted to take it on like now, even though like I just kind of wanted to build a foundation. But I'm more with Warren Buffett and the others where it's like, do you use that product? Do you use the Yeti? Do you go to McDonald's? Do you like actually use their products? Like, I mean, if you guys look at Chipotle, I didn't even clock this. I don't eat Chipotle. Like I know, but I should have clocked this a long time ago because everybody's having a Chipotle fundraiser. Everybody eats Chipotle. Oh, you guys want to go to Chipotle? That stock has blown up this year. And, I mean, it's gone up ever since. Like, its creation, basically. The only thing I can think of that it messed up on was with the E. coli breakout.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking of their poisoning
CMG,
people.
That's right. It's $2,316. And within 1 year,
Dang.
It has gone up 65%. So if you invested in it last year at this time, you would have made a lot of money. Yeah. I mean, and that's just within a year. 10 years is ridiculous, but yeah. Like, that's the thing, that you want to look for companies that, like...
That's a good baseline, yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah, like I said, like, don't say, oh, I use this, now invest. Like, that's a starting point, you know? Then, and this is where you start to lose people because it's really hard to tell somebody, okay, now look at their financials. Like, first of all, you don't know how. Second of all, most people don't know how. And second of all, like, it's boring. It's very, very boring to go on, like, Edgar, like, the government site, pull up their files and such, and they'd be like, okay, this is what they do. Like, read their description, and then look at how, like, okay, what is their operating, like, you know, that kind of stuff. Looking at their financials, looking at their cash flows. And then, even then, you still have to decide.
This is all just going over my head right now.
But even then, you still got to decide, like, okay, is that good for me? Like, do I think that's good? Because, like, Tim down the block thinks that's dog shit. Like, I don't know. So you got to really, and then you're like, who do I compare this to? Are there who's their competitors? You know, like AutoZone or AutoPart, you know, all the different ones. Like, who do I choose? You know, Lowe's versus Home Depot. Like, okay, do they pay a dividend? Right. Does that dividend actually matter? Is that
two competitors?
Yeah. Like, there's just a lot of stuff. I don't know. I like just looking at different trends though. Like, there's very few trends.
What trend are you looking at right now? What do you mean?
Just like no, I meant throughout
Just
like
growth, company growth through time.
Not even
You're
so
just
much.
like wow, like look at Apple. Apple's been consistent.
No, I mean more like events, almost like just like weird, funny events. Like if
GameStop.
No. Well, yeah, that was interesting.
Anomaly.
I got screwed, but like we talked about how if a company buys a stadium, like puts their name on it,
Gillette.
it's usually gonna go down.
Crypto.
You know, people don't like that
It's gonna go down.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, so you just spent this much money to put your name on a stadium when you could be giving either that back to the shareholders via dividends or reinvesting it into the company. And so, like, that was kind of neat, like, to see that kind of stuff happen. I was like, that makes sense.
Do you have an example? Who is putting their name on?
SoFi, a lot of the financial service ones, then Gillette, like, you know, different stadiums like that. And then and then that's where, like, my friends and I would look up every company that ever put their name on a stadium, find when they did that, and then see what the price did.
AT&T Stadium would be a good example. Did you look at that?
I haven't. That was like last year. I can't remember.
It's an interesting concept, though.
Did it
just
go
to
back
see.
up later?
Huh?
Did it go back up later? Did it take time?
Some of them do. Some of them, I don't know. Like, I don't. Like, again, I can't remember. It's not like I did real research. I did this during a class, probably, when the professor told us about this. And then we were like, let's do it. Let's look it up. But, yeah, no, it's just different things. Everybody's got, like, a plan. Everybody's got, like, a strategy.
I'm talking about people that, like, don't have plans, new to it, scared to maybe invest. So just get started. Like,
yeah. Just watch all the
Play around with it.
Watch TikTokers tell you everything. Yeah. Buy as many plants and things as you can.
just buy penny stocks and hope for the best.
I hope that one pops. I've known people that have done that. Like but they have yet to pop, and I'm like, it may happen. It may happen.
Someday.
But okay, now you just made $10,000. Wow. And then by the time that had to happen, you could have just been like investing in anything else. And like I said, I don't want to take that away from anybody. You know, like if that works for you, then go for it. If that's actually, you know, if you have money to burn and that's what you enjoy, then obviously do what you want to do. You know, like for me, like
It's better than going to the casino, I guess, and putting in the slots. If you're trying
if
to-
that's what you enjoy, then yeah, go for it. But like you gotta also understand, like, okay, do I have obligations elsewhere? Do I have a family? Do I have like a significant other? Would this money, you guys see, like, personally, like, okay, could this money be better used? But if, you know, it does, like, I'm gonna either do it here or do it like something else with it, like that doesn't matter, then yeah, do what, you know, if that's what
Play money.
you know, yeah, if that's your fun to like go on vacation, but this is,
It's a good way
you
to
enjoy this
It is
more.
play money, but to me, it's like the step up for play money because you're investing. So if anything, it's building your experience, looking at the charts, looking at the growth or like decline of companies. So it is play money, but it's like, to me, it's like not as like
I mean, there's
bad.
there's
It's like, play
different-
money to me is like you go to like a concert, like that's your.
Yeah, I mean,
You could just-
like I said, everybody has their own definition, though. Yeah, so like, yeah, like to me, yeah, investing's not really play money. I don't have any in right now. That's play money. I don't have that kind of money.
It's all strategic. Money.
Yeah, but and then in the back of your head, you're always thinking like, damn, at any minute or at any
It
day,
could
yeah, this whole thing
crash.
could just drop. Like, it's just you know, people here give money to this company. Like, I mean, it all could just topple over at any time. So, and that's what, like, yes, it's worked since the 1950s, and even then, there's still big dips. But who's to say, you know, 20 years from now, this whole thing just becomes
Still
like,
works.
wait, what is this? Like, what? Man, I can't
Obsolete.
believe.
You
I can't
think
believe
that's possible?
I don't even know. With technology, who knows?
It could either be a huge boom to it, or it could just
I don't know.
totally tank it.
Yeah, and that's the risk you're.
I would think it would just make our economy stronger, like as technology gets better and everything.
That's why you gotta make sure you're investing in AI, I guess.
What's everyone's New Year's resolutions?
That's a great question.
Mine's to I don't know, just basically have a better 24 than I did of 20. Like I hadn't, I've seen a lot of like comments saying like, oh, 2023 was a rough year. Personally, I started the year out just like with a mentality, okay, like I gotta crush it this year. Like I gotta do as much as possible. I gotta like work 2 jobs as much as possible. I gotta make money.
yeah.
I gotta like get like good grades. Gotta graduate. You know, those kinds of things. And yeah, like personally, I did. Like 2023 was a pretty good year. Fitness, not so much, but that's for next year.
You can't do
it. Yeah, honestly, yeah. But
year.
2024 is just more of like, okay, so we did that.
Refining.
Now don't let that down. You know, everything that I just did for 2023, build upon it. Like now that foundation is kind of built, I graduated. Now let's like start building the framework for the rest. You know, for the future years and for that's
Absolutely,
my resolution.
100%.
And nothing specific, just get it done. And then, yeah, Logan.
It's fun. Yeah, no, I think mine is more exact opposite. I want to let loose a little bit more.
Yeah,
I've been
you've been
I've been
head
going
down
24/7 for near 4 years now, and I've got a job lined up. I'm moving. I'm kind of starting a new life down south, so I want to change up my life, try to live a little bit more, work a little less, just enjoy it.
How was Penn State? Now that you're getting close to wrapping up, and then I'll get to a little bit of my New Year's resolutions. A blast.
It's been an absolute blast. It has been a privilege to go. I've met some incredible people. It's something that I didn't think was ever really going to happen. I wouldn't have found the life that I did, but I've loved every second of it. Met some incredible people. Started a new family up there
of friends really, that you're going to keep forever.
Exactly, some lifelong friendships. And I'm sad to see them go.
Parting ways, but they're all close, and because they were all aerospace engineers, right? Or did you have like a exercise science friend that's just gonna?
Most are aerospace. We work so much that the group stays pretty tight within the aerospace community. You kind of bond off of the stress and the work, but they're all the aerospace community in general is pretty small, so they're names that I'll always see for the rest of my life, but. They'll all go their separate ways, and
you can see, in the future you can see what they're up to.
Exactly.
Like, since it is a small, tight knit community, and like to me, I can see you doing like bigger things, and like what like personally like probably that I'm gonna end up doing is like you're gonna be doing like bigger projects. Like I always find that interesting. You're such a smart guy, and when you have the resources that are going to be given to you in the future, you're probably going to make the most out of them.
I hope you keep going.
Yeah. I'm excited to see like what projects. I always like hearing what you're doing and what you're learning, cuz like to me I could never understand it or do it. It's so complicated, but it's like so necessary. I find like aerospace is like something I keep up on with like SpaceX, NASA. I love reading about it. I love like learning more about astronomy and just like new planes, new transportation models that we use. It's really interesting. I mean, and then too, like the technologies we sometimes use isn't always made for good. Let's just say that. But I always find anything we make here is so interesting. And
but I mean, it's one of the biggest things to let.
It's such an important industry.
Like global. I mean we're currently at about 100,000 flights a day. It's estimated,
and it's only going to go up.
6 million people travel every day. I mean, it's one of the most influential parts of globalization in the past century. To really
exactly right. I mean,
everyone.
It affects the modern world so much, and you're going to be in the middle of it. And there's not too many people, like you said. It's a tight knit community. Hard topics, hard concepts. And everything, so it's really interesting stuff. What's like the hardest concept that's maybe come out in the last like 20 years with aviation? Is it like to me the concept of hypersonics? I don't even understand like what it even is hypersonic.
Yeah, I mean when you start to get post-sonic conditions, so you start to fly supersonic, that's when things get very weird because we can't really. You have to predict most of what's going to happen. I mean, the idea of turbulence and turbulent airflow is defined as chaos. So it is, how can we predict this? But you can't truly say what's going to happen. So especially when you start to reach a hypersonic.
How much of a problem is turbulence? I've never really thought about this. To a hypersonic device, like
turbulence is. Are you talking about turbulence on like an airplane as you're flying?
Yeah.
Perfectly safe. Perfectly safe. There's
at hypersonic speeds. Is that what you're saying? The chaos of it, you're predicting, like, is there going to be turbulence?
Well,
10
turbulent
miles ahead?
airflow is more of an airflow separation. You start to form a boundary layer across the skin. You have to think of it like friction, right? Air is a fluid, just like water or honey or anything like that. So our fluids have a viscosity or a property that kind of resists a skin friction. So when you have airflow flowing over a wing, you get this thin layer of friction effects with air on that surface of the wing. And that's what we call a boundary layer. And when you start to see turbulent boundary layers, you start to increase your Mach numbers, get closer to the speed of sound, that turbulence starts to get a little more chaotic. And it gets a little more difficult to predict what's going to happen, and you start to see airflow separation, which brings onsets of stalls, things like that. So when you start to fly a lot faster, you start to see shock formations, which gets very weird. And yeah, it gets complicated. Hypersonics is a
How is it
complicated
not
topic.
predictable? I guess is it because the atmosphere varies like in every part of the
No,
world
it's
a
the
little bit?
airflow
Or-
itself. Like
But like,
we
say
can,
you have an aircraft, and anytime it goes, it sonic booms or gets to whatever 3,000 miles per hour. Isn't that same phenomenon like universal across any device, or is it you're trying to refine the aircraft, or is it?
no, we know turbulent airflow is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just predicting what's happening inside that boundary layer.
Okay.
It gets really we don't know. We start to we
can't
have
put
a
a
whole bunch
sense-
of
like-
methods that predict, and we predict pretty well, but they're predictions, they're theories. There's no factual
What is
statement
is
like
there?
this air
What is
molecule
the theory
gonna
behind
do
that?
this.
What is that theory called?
Well, there's a bunch.
I feel like that's like a lot of what you learn too is like a lot of theories, like, and then behind that theory is like y
It's
equals like some
applying-
crazy
It's
equation.
applying a bunch of approximations that get really close to the point that we get factors of safety that we are able to mitigate. And
What is that?
factor of safety is like this is a fun topic for anyone. Yeah, factor of safety is saying that we accept risk to some extent.
The threshold.
Exactly, and everything's built with so like your car, for example, is built with a factor of safety to say that up to some extent you're safe. Your car is not 100% safe. It's impossible to be 100% safe.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make it really safe, your car would weigh 3,000 tons. So you have this factor of safety to say up to some extent you are safe, and it's up to the manufacturer, the designer, to choose
Now,
where that.
is this a
safety
general
margin is.
concept? Like these things could go wrong in the air, or is it like down to the component level of
All the above.
aerospace engineering?
All the above. I mean, we
So it could be like this turbine blade can hold this much force without it breaking. That is
absolutely down to the nearest component. We analyze everything, but then you also have to make sure that everything combines and integrates together. You need to make sure the whole aircraft flies. You can have.
So
a
then
whole
do you
bunch
run that equation for as like when you put it all together in CAD, it's all one component, and then you have to run the equation again with all the moving parts.
Absolutely, we have a bunch of CAD programs that model components along with entire
Is it
aircraft.
like the sum of the device that accounts for the threshold of safety? What is it?
A factor of safety.
Factor of safety? Is it the sum of the thing, or is it individually placed items, or just the whole concept of aerospace and the dangers that could pose to you? Like,
Yes,
like,
it's
is
more
weather
of a,
is weather involved in that or no?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We have to make sure that it can fly through turbulent air, right? When you have turbulence on an airplane and your coffee cup starts to shake a little bit,
Okay, yeah.
you need to make sure that's perfectly safe, which it is. But that's something that everyone has to consider, and things can go very wrong very quickly. So we need to mitigate as much as we can.
Is that what mostly it is mitigation at the end of the day? Is like
Depends what application you're talking about. I mean,
you're most suited at problem solving and mitigating problems pertaining to concepts related to wind, air, flying, and speed and velocity and pressure. And
absolutely. I mean, it depends what stage you're in. Designers don't really tend to look at that. Designers want to meet some mission profile. So the military says, I want a fighter jet that's going to fly Mach 2. The designer is going to do their best to make sure they can build something that can fly Mach 2. It's not until you get into a production phase and a flight test phase that you start to say, okay, where are the risks with this aircraft? What do we need to mitigate? What do we need to change so that, it can still meet the mission profile, but we can do it safely, we can do it more efficiently, things like that.
That's really interesting, though. There's a lot to it.
Right, yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot to it.
that goes into it. But.
Dang. Yeah. What else? What other cool topics would you find interesting?
Oh, well, I thought you were gonna tell us your New Year's.
I was, but then I'm like,
resolution.
how can I go from this
went down a
really
rabbit hole.
pertaining tough
Do
concept
the
of
avenue.
aerospace
Yeah, there you go.
to me?
We're gonna do it. So he just talked
All
about
right, no, that's
everything
really
aerospace.
sick. Honestly, it's
Now,
that's crazy stuff.
Now your resolution.
Similar to Logan, I wasn't I want to keep pushing myself to get out and do things that I wouldn't see myself normally doing. I like the concept of being uncomfortable. Any way I can put myself in an uncomfortable situation, I feel like when it's uncomfortable that I'm going to get an experience that I wouldn't normally get, and it's going to make me better. I'm trying to be versed in as many things as possible. So if I can put myself in those uncomfortable situations, if that's ice baths, I want to start doing that. Or if that's working out harder and pushing myself physically, or if that's going to
You start running.
running
I'm about to
running
start to
physically
run.
pushes me.
Outside running, in the cold.
In the cold, running, running is probably something I should start to pick up more because it pushes me. But I want to hit 225 for reps on the bench.
It's a big goal.
That's a specific goal, but in general, I just want to also what Seth was saying. I want to build on things I'm good at and just keep progressing and learning and everything. So that's my New Year's resolution. Just trying to be my best self.
Sounds solid. Yeah, I like
It was
it.
kind of weak, but
No. You're building foundations.
keep
You had some
recording the
specific
pod.
Goals. Yeah.
I think these conversations are good. To me, I look at the podcast as a campfire. We sit around and we tell stories and we have conversations.
Should we turn the light off?
Let's get the candles out.
I don't know. The
I
ring
don't know
light
what
will still be
happened.
on.
Probably, yeah. Not even that
There
bad.
you go.
It's like a campfire. We sit around, we get in this room, we get in this box. It's very naturalistic. It's
See, that's the thing. I think someday, you're gonna need to set up, do your own job and everything, get the money. But it would be neat to actually make your own room, but design it the way you want. If you want that campfire feel, then you actually design it with themes everywhere.
actually put a fake campfire in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, no, I've seen people do different things. Yeah.
Yeah, I like stuff like
That would
that
be
where
neat.
it's just it seems especially nowadays. I mean, yeah, we're really close. We talk on Discord. We hang out as much as we can, due to our schedules and everything. But
Busy.
everyone's busy, and that's life. So anytime you can have long form conversation, which I mean, shoot, I love having because you can really just sit down and enjoy the time with people and just learn as much as you can about the other person. Not that I don't know everything about you guys, but future guests,
Yeah.
of course.
Yep.
Anyone, I feel like I can talk to anyone. I'm excited to see what happens this year. But say I got 4 more months in this studio until I graduate. So hopefully I can crank out a good amount of podcasts.
You said you want to bring a professor on at some point?
I want to
Or,
bring a professor on.
like, those could be like, you could have your personal goals, like New Year's resolutions, and then you could have like goals for the podcast too. If you know you're very committed to this, you know.
I'm just going with the flow, to be honest. I don't have too many big aspirations with the podcast. I'm going with the flow, having a good time.
That is true. I feel like the more you, like, I don't know, manage something, the more you, like, constantly look at it, try to structure it out. Like, something that was fun is now no longer, like, it becomes more, like,
yeah,
like, great, I gotta go do this now.
It's corny. I mean, I like to keep things sustainable. Like, I know if I go really hard, I'm going to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not. I think it's good to push hard in a lot of things, and you will never burn out by pushing hard in some concepts. But there's other things where if you push really hard, you're gonna burn out. And if it's things that you just start doing, like, I mean, this is only like whatever episode, but like if I was just going really hard, I would probably burn out right away. Like if you go to the gym for the first time and you push really hard, you're gonna burn out like really fast. Yeah. If you start a new job and you like push way too hard, you're gonna burn out way too fast. Or it can be a lot of concepts like that.
Yeah, I think it just depends for every person. Like for me personally, I try almost to achieve almost like essentially burnout, because for me it's more of like in a gym setting, it's more of doing it till failure. Like keep going until you're like, holy shit. And then you can take that little mental break like for like that weekend or whatever, you know, but you gotta like hop back on it, you know, get back on the set, you keep going. And then you never feel like, I don't want to say like you never feel satisfied, but then you look back and you're like, wait, what am I doing? Like, how am I doing all this stuff right now? Like, and
it
like,
takes time.
Or if you tell somebody what you're doing, they're like, what? How? Because, you know, you built that tolerance up so much. But again, not everybody is really like capable of doing that. And that's not a bad thing. You just have to find what works for you, you know? Like, not everybody wants to get nailed with a wall every week, like, or work 2 jobs, like do all this stuff, you know, because then that can lead like down a bad spiral, and you're like down on yourself, you over like eat, or you're just like you sleep in too long. So it works for me. I don't know what works for you guys, but like you got to find, you know, that's
your threshold.
Yeah, that's the whole goal.
Burning out to you could look different than it does to me. So like burnout to me is like, how can I be as like stress free as possible, like while pushing myself? I think like I'm trying to longevitize myself already at this point. I want to keep myself fit. I know it's gonna like pay off in the future. I want to keep myself physically fit, mentally fit, while also being as stress free as possible. But that doesn't mean I don't. Because if you're stress-free, then you're not really, like, doing anything. But I want to still be doing stuff while being as stress-free as possible.
That's an interesting take. Yeah.
We have a joke up at the Aerospace department in Penn State, is embrace the suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I almost live for the stress. Like, if I'm stressed, I know I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I almost don't like taking breaks, because I take a break and I take a step back, I lose that focus and lose that mentality. Yep. I like to be in it, and you just keep grinding. You focus on the next step, the next goal.
That's how the diamonds, you want to be.
Yeah, and then you train your body to sustainably hold that stress.
And you just keep going. You keep saying
not compartmentalize it, but you use it as energy to keep going.
Yeah, every once in a while you have those days like, man, I'm doing a lot of stuff. Like, maybe I need to take a step back.
Then you need to. If you have that, then you're like, all right.
You can
because it's good to have your own your self-care time.
True.
Matters big time. It does. But if you're doing stuff you really enjoy, then your self-care time goes into things you enjoy, because it isn't putting as much of a toll on your body.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know. I do agree with like a hybrid of that. Like, I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say like that's where you have to like you got to take that step
where you
forward.
Dig deep. That's where I dig deep, and that's where I have to.
But I see what he's saying too. Like, if you hit that point, and like instead of like taking that step back and like now just like kind of losing it, maybe instead just reorganize some things. Like maybe feel, you know, okay, that was a lot of work. Now bring in something you like. remain active, keep learning or doing whatever you enjoy.
Yeah.
But put that in so that, okay, that kind of alleviates the pressure, like a little bit. And even that can be temporarily. But, yeah, I don't know.
And that's
Exactly.
why I try and focus on the things that, work hard on the things that I do like.
That's
so
that it helps.
In
like,
those
for
moments that I
anybody.
get a
Yeah.
little stressed, it's like, well, why am I doing this?
Yep.
Oh, it's because I want this degree. I want to go do this job, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's time to, keep going, keep grinding,
Yep.
Exactly. I mean,
keep moving.
You gotta have a purpose, like,
Exactly.
with it. Because if you're trying to go for something that you don't really care about, it just makes it 10 times harder.
And even
you
if
can
it's
still
like-
achieve it, but it's gonna make it harder.
And if you falsely
So
care
much
about
harder.
something, it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
kind of like this because my friend did it.
Yep,
You might
yep.
like it for a week or two, but
And
when
it's
you
good to
really
try
get
it.
It's the
into
same thing
it,
as Navy SEAL thing. Like, if you want it, you're gonna stick it out. It's
yeah,
just
you
that's
need
that's
to
just
want
the
it.
suck. Like, and yeah, like from whatever all I've
And they
heard, like from
always find it,
Jocko,
it
from
seems like.
all of them, like it's buds isn't really hard. Like in terms, it's just mentally draining, and so it shows you like, okay, do you actually want to be here? And some of those people are there for the wrong reasons, and that's okay. But you're not gonna make it.
Exactly.
Or, it's gonna be hard.
no,
But,
you're
yeah,
right. I mean,
it's-
you got to find your threshold. You got to find your interest. There's things along the way that you're going to see that's just like, that are going to come and approach you. And like, if it's a person on the street, like offering you a job or something that just comes out of the blue and you have to like evaluate, like, wait, what is this? Or why am I even doing this? Like, in the sense that things just come up randomly, it seems like. Those are
Oh, yeah.
always the things that stress me out.
It's
Well, something that's just like, wait,
To
I
me,
did
it
not
get-
expect
that
this
take
to
it,
happen today.
That's life. I don't know.
yeah, and it's taking a new step into getting uncomfortable, but in a way you have to be comfortable getting
'Cause
uncomfortable.
I don't know, you guys. I kind of have like, I plan my day out a little bit, but if something like groundbreaking comes in, I'm not expecting. I'm just like, wait. If it's a 50-50 fork in the road, I always have that problem. It's like, which one is right? And then I would say you go with your gut most of the time.
Always,
Yeah,
you
you
can
gotta
always
be
just talk to
decisive,
people too.
but-
Yeah.
Like there's no law saying like to call up somebody that you trust and be like, hey, what do you think I should do? Or like just
Yeah,
I mean, you're
exactly.
allowed. Like it's important to try to make decisions for yourself. Like obviously you're the one making it at the end of the day. Like don't let somebody dictate everything. But like never be afraid to like call on people for assistance or with like help or feedback. People that you trust or like you actually care about. They care about you. I wouldn't recommend always going to Reddit and making a post, but because they don't really know you and they're gonna be blunt. But sometimes, I mean, yeah.
As long as you're decisive with your decision,
Yep. As long as
got to move forward, not look back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all.
Yeah, that's it, folks.
I mean, yeah, I'll probably head out here soon, but
Yeah, honestly,
I gotta.
yeah, let's wrap it up. That was cool.
Yeah. And then there was a clean podcast.
Super clean.
Yeah.
I hope everyone has a good New Year's.
Yep.
Celebrate it, embrace it. Write down your goals for next year.
Yeah.
Writing it down, I think, is
Writing
a good
down does
idea.
help.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that's
And
yeah.
put it
it's
somewhere where
huge.
you're gonna see it every day. Like as soon as you wake up, you look over. I had just two sticky notes, and it said 2023 win, just right on my desk. And every day, you just saw that, and I was like, yeah. Or not even every day, just like if I'm like
matters.
going through it, I just like look at that. I'm like, yeah, okay, I made that promise to myself at that time. Like, keep going. Don't
it
back
is
up.
a piece of you. And
Yeah,
So
Yep.
write it down,
and
plan it out,
be safe.
be safe, and thanks for tuning in. And
Yeah,
thank you,
Happy New
Logan.
Year's.
Thank you, Seth, for hopping on the pod. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
it. And peace out.
Peace.